The massive display screen in the Galactic Council's central chamber showed a small dot moving steadily through space. Around the circular room, representatives of the most advanced species in the known galaxy watched with growing amusement. Their elegant robes and sophisticated neural interfaces marked them as beings far beyond primitive space travel. "What is that thing?" asked High Counselor Blue, his crystalline form shimmering with barely contained laughter. The other council members buzzed and chirped their own amusement. The detection officer, a tall being with silvery skin, enlarged the image. The ship that appeared looked nothing like the sleek vessels that usually traveled through council space. Its hull was blocky, with visible welding lines, and what appeared to be simple chemical thrusters alongside its main drive. Preliminary scans indicate it's a vessel from an unregistered world in Sector 7. The officer reported. They're using what appears to be a primitive attempt at faster-than-light travel. The engine design is remarkably basic. Captain Smith sat quietly in the Phoenix's command chair, watching his crew work with practiced efficiency. The ship's exterior sensors picked up the scanning beams washing over their hull. He allowed himself a small smile as the alien scans bounced off carefully designed surfaces, seeing exactly what they expected to see. All systems maintaining false signatures, Engineer Wilson reported from his station. His fingers danced over the controls, adjusting the elaborate masking systems that made their advanced technology appear primitive to outside observers. "They're buying it, Captain." The council chamber erupted in laughter when the detection officer displayed the ship's apparent specifications. The readings showed energy outputs barely sufficient for interstellar travel, armor that seemed no better than simple steel, and computer systems that would have been outdated by their standards 1,000 years ago. "Should we even bother acknowledging them?" asked Counselor Green, her plant-like appendages waving dismissively. "They've barely mastered space travel. Look at those thrust vectoring systems. They're still using physical muzzles." High Counselor Blue raised an appendage for silence. "Protocol demands we at least grant them an audience. It would be amusing to see these primitives attempt diplomacy." More laughter rippled through the chamber. Inside the Phoenix, Technical Officer James monitored the alien transmissions. Their encryption was complex, but not unbreakable. The crew listened as the council mocked their ship's design, each insult confirming that their deception was working perfectly. "They're preparing to send us docking instructions," James reported. "Very basic ones. They think we can't handle automated docking procedures." Captain Smith nodded. "Accept their guidance. Remember, we're just simple humans taking our first steps into the galaxy. Engineer Wilson, make sure our docking maneuver shows just enough clumsiness to be convincing." The Phoenix approached the massive council station, its movements deliberately hesitant. The ship's thrusters fired in short, seemingly inefficient bursts, making the approach appear far more difficult than it actually was. To the watching aliens, it looked like a child learning to walk. "Look at how they waste fuel," one council member commented. "Their species clearly hasn't grasped basic conservation principles." What none of them noticed was the subtle field surrounding the Phoenix, absorbing and analyzing every scan they sent. They didn't see the advanced quantum computers processing vast amounts of data about the station's defenses, and they certainly didn't detect the ship's true power plant, hidden behind layers of technological camouflage. As the Phoenix finally docked, with a slight bump that drew more alien laughter, Captain Smith gathered his crew for final instructions. "Remember," he said quietly, "we're here to learn, not to impress. Let them underestimate us. Let them laugh." He straightened his deliberately plain uniform. "That's humanity's greatest advantage. They never see us coming." The crew nodded, hiding their smiles. Soon, they would meet the council representatives, playing the role of simple explorers from a backwater world. And the council would continue to laugh, not realizing they were the ones being studied all along. The council's lowest-ranked diplomatic team waited at the docking bay, their expressions showing both boredom and amusement. They had drawn the short straw for this assignment. greeting what they assumed would be bumbling primitives from an underdeveloped world. Inside the Phoenix, Technical Officer James watched the alien welcoming party through the ship's hidden sensors. 6 of them, he reported, all junior diplomatic staff. They didn't even bother sending a senior representative. Captain Smith adjusted his plain uniform one last time. Perfect. Engineer Wilson, start the show. The Phoenix's airlock opened with a deliberate hiss and clank, louder than necessary. Steam escaped dramatically, a theatrical touch that made several alien diplomats step back in alarm. The council representatives exchanged knowing looks, clearly thinking this confirmed their assumptions about human technology. Scanning systems active, James whispered into his hidden communicator. Their personal devices are broadcasting massive amounts of data, copying everything now. The lead alien diplomat, who wore the simplest robes of the group, stepped forward. "Welcome to Central Station," he said, his universal translator making the words sound slightly mechanical. "I am Junior Diplomat Gray. We trust your journey wasn't too difficult." The slight pause was clearly meant to mock the Phoenix's apparent struggles with basic docking procedures. Captain Smith pretended not to notice the insult. "We are honored to be here," he said, deliberately speaking slowly as if uncertain about the translator. "Our ship performed adequately." Behind the diplomatic team, a group of alien technicians huddled around scanning devices. They were examining the Phoenix, their expressions growing increasingly dismissive. One of them actually chuckled when his device reported the ship's apparent power output. "Look at these readings," the tech said to his colleague, not bothering to lower his voice. "Their fusion reactor barely produces enough energy to power our waste recycling systems." Engineer Wilson, standing near the airlock, had to fight to keep a straight face. The fusion reactor they were detecting was actually a clever decoy, broadcasting false energy signatures. The Phoenix's true power source hummed silently behind layers of quantum shielding, completely undetectable to their scanners. Junior Diplomat Gray led the human delegation through the station's corridors. He spoke slowly and used simple terms, as if talking to children. "This way to your temporary quarters. We've made them suitable for your technological level. No advanced systems that might confuse you." The quarters turned out to be a bare room with basic amenities. The aliens had removed all advanced technology, replacing it with simple mechanical devices they thought humans could understand. They didn't notice James quietly scanning the walls, mapping the station's entire power grid through the basic power outlet they'd left behind. "The council will see you tomorrow," Gray announced. "They suggest you use this time to prepare yourselves for the experience. Try not to be too overwhelmed." After the diplomatic team left, Captain Smith gathered his crew. "Report." "Their scans missed everything important," Wilson said with a grin. "They think our engine is a basic fusion drive. None of their instruments detected the quantum core or the dark energy taps." "Their network security is a joke," James added. "I've already mapped half the station's systems through their own communications grid. They encrypt everything, but it's like they never considered someone might break their codes." "And their behavior?" Smith asked. "Exactly as expected," Wilson replied. "Complete and total underestimation. They think we're cosmic cavemen who got lucky with space travel." Captain Smith allowed himself a small smile. "Then tomorrow should be interesting. Remember, keep playing dumb. Let them think they're the smartest ones in the room." He looked out the small window at the gleaming station. "Their overconfidence is our greatest advantage." The crew nodded, each returning to their assigned tasks. As they worked, hidden sensors throughout the Phoenix continued gathering data, analyzing the station's every secret. The aliens had given them exactly what they wanted: complete access and zero suspicion. The Grand Council chamber sparkled with advanced technology. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing data streams that would have taken primitive computers years to process. The council members sat in their elevated seats, looking down at the simple table and chairs they had provided for the human delegation. Ambassador Roberts led the human team into the chamber, wearing what appeared to be a basic diplomatic uniform. The council members whispered among themselves, several pointing at the crude electronic tablet he carried. None of them noticed the quantum scanner hidden within its casing. "Welcome, primitives. I mean, honored guests," High Counselor Blue corrected himself, not bothering to hide his smirk. "We trust you found your quarters adequate. Not too advanced for your understanding." "They were perfect," Roberts replied with carefully practiced humility. "We are grateful for your consideration of our limited capabilities." Behind him, Captain Smith kept his face neutral, though his eyes missed nothing. A holographic display appeared above the council table, showing the Phoenix. "We have completed our analysis of your vessel," announced Counselor Green. "Quite remarkable that you managed interstellar travel with such basic technology, though we note your navigation system seems to rely on physical star charts. How charmingly primitive." Technical Officer James made a show of taking notes on an outdated tablet, while his hidden systems recorded everything in the room. The Council's own security measures were broadcasting valuable data about their defensive capabilities. "Perhaps," said another council member, their crystalline form glittering with amusement, "we should explain how proper space travel works. Your method of throwing explosions behind your ship to move forward is rather inefficient." The human delegation nodded politely, playing their roles perfectly. Engineer Wilson even asked seemingly naive questions about basic physics, causing several council members to laugh openly. "Look at their power readings," one technical advisor whispered to another, not quietly enough. "Their whole ship runs on less energy than my personal transport. It's a miracle they didn't blow themselves up getting here." The meeting continued, with the council becoming increasingly bold in their mockery. They showed holographic displays of proper technology, explaining basic concepts as if to children. With each demonstration, they revealed more about their own technological capabilities, exactly as the humans had planned. "And this," High Counselor Blue said, displaying another hologram, "is how civilized species handle faster-than-light travel. Though perhaps we should use smaller words." Ambassador Roberts raised his hand with rehearsed hesitation. "If I may ask, our simple minds are curious about your defense systems. We noticed what appear to be weapon emplacements on our approach. Are those for protection against pirates?" The council chamber erupted in laughter. "Pirates? In our space?" Counselor Green's plant-like appendages waved in amusement. "Our defenses are merely ceremonial these days. No one would dare attack a council station." Captain Smith and Engineer Wilson exchanged a brief glance. The council's overconfidence was even greater than they had hoped. "Now then," High Counselor Blue continued, "let us discuss your application for galactic membership. Given your limited development, we propose placing your species under our guidance for the next few centuries, until you learn the basics of proper civilization." Ambassador Roberts bowed his head, hiding a slight smile. "Your wisdom is appreciated, Honored Council. We look forward to learning from your example." As the meeting concluded, the human delegation filed out quietly, maintaining their facade of humble gratitude. Once they were alone in the corridor, Captain Smith activated his secure communicator. "Status report," he whispered. "Scans complete," James replied. "Their entire defense grid is mapped. And you were right. They've grown so confident, they've let their security decay. Half their systems are running on outdated protocols." "Perfect," Smith said. "Now we wait. The show's about to begin." The alarms started during the station's night cycle. Red lights flashed through the corridors as automated systems detected multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. The council members, awakened from their rest period, rushed to the command center in a state of confusion. "Impossible," shouted High Counselor Blue, staring at the tactical display. "Pirates would never dare." 15 ships, the detection officer reported, his silvery skin now pale with fear. "Heavy weapons. Military-grade shields. They're jamming our communications." The human delegation watched from their simple quarters as chaos erupted throughout the station. Through the window, they could see the pirate fleet moving into attack formation. Their ships were sleek, dangerous, and far more advanced than the Phoenix appeared to be. "Right on schedule," Captain Smith said quietly, checking his hidden wrist display. The pirates had arrived exactly when their intelligence said they would. Status report. "The Council's defense grid is responding exactly as our scans predicted," Technical Officer James replied. "Outdated protocols, poorly maintained weapons. They won't last 5 minutes." The first shots fired by the pirate fleet proved James right. The station's shield generators, which hadn't been properly tested in decades, flickered weakly under the assault. Council ships scrambled to respond, but their reactions were slow and uncoordinated. "This is impossible." Councillor Green's voice echoed through the station's announcement system. "Our defenses are the best in the galaxy. How dare these primitives attack us?" Engineer Wilson watched the tactical display on his hidden devices, shaking his head. "Their best ships are using targeting systems that were obsolete by our standards 50 years ago. They never expected anyone to challenge them here." The station shuddered as another volley of weapons fire struck home. Emergency force fields began failing across multiple decks. The Council's response ships, caught off guard, were being picked apart by the more experienced pirate fleet. "Should we not assist?" Ambassador Roberts asked Captain Smith, maintaining their act even in private. Several junior council members were running past their quarters, panic evident on their alien faces. "Not yet," Smith replied calmly. "Let them understand their situation first." Through their quarters window, they watched as 3 council ships exploded, their crews barely managing to escape in lifeboats. The pirates were systematically dismantling the station's defenses, section by section. "Incoming transmission," James reported. "The pirates are demanding the station's surrender. They're offering to let the Council evacuate, in exchange for all their technology and data cores." High Councilor Blue's voice crackled over the station speakers, now shaking with fear rather than amusement. All ships, we are under attack by superior forces. Request immediate assistance." The Council's mighty station, which had stood unchallenged for centuries, was now at the mercy of what they considered lesser beings. Their automated defenses, which they had bragged about to the human delegation, proved useless against determined attackers who had studied their weaknesses. "Captain," Wilson said, monitoring the battle, "they're about to breach the main reactor containment." "If that happens," Smith nodded, standing up, "I think it's time we offered our humble assistance." He straightened his simple uniform, hiding a smile. "James, contact the Council. Tell them the primitive humans would like to help." "And the Phoenix?" Wilson asked, his fingers hovering over his control pad. "Power up all systems," Smith ordered, "but keep our true capabilities masked until my signal. Let's show these aliens why humanity survived countless wars to reach the stars." As the crew prepared for action, another explosion rocked the station. Through the chaos of battle, no one noticed the subtle changes beginning to occur in the supposedly primitive human ship. The Phoenix was awakening, and soon both the Council and the pirates would learn why it was named after a creature that rose from ashes. High Councilor Blue stared at the communication screen in disbelief. "You want to help us with that primitive vessel of yours?" Even with his station falling apart around him, he couldn't hide his disbelief at the human's offer. "If you'll permit us," Captain Smith replied humbly, "we may be able to distract the pirates while you make repairs." Another explosion rocked the station. Councilor Green's voice cut through the chaos. "Let them try. What do we have to lose?" The Phoenix detached from its docking port, its movements still appearing clumsy and uncoordinated. Several pirates actually turned their guns away from it, dismissing the apparently harmless vessel. "All systems ready, Captain," Engineer Wilson reported, his fingers dancing across his now active control panel. "Waiting for your command." Smith smiled. "Drop the mask. Show them what humanity can really do." The change was instant and dramatic. The Phoenix's hull shimmered as layers of quantum camouflage melted away. The blocky, crude exterior transformed into sleek, advanced armor. Hidden weapon ports opened along its length. The fake chemical thrusters disappeared, replaced by advanced gravitic drives. In the Council's command center, alarms blared as their sensors suddenly detected energy readings that dwarfed anything they had seen before. "Impossible," the detection officer shouted. Their power output just increased by a factor of 10,000. The pirate fleet noticed too. 3 ships turned to attack the Phoenix, expecting an easy target. Their weapons fired and hit nothing. The human ship moved with impossible speed and grace, its true maneuverability now unleashed. "Target locked," James announced calmly. "Firing solution ready." The Phoenix's response was devastating. Precise energy beams lanced out, slicing through the pirates' shields as if they weren't there. 3 ships disabled in 3 shots, their engines and weapons cut away with surgical precision. "What kind of weapons are those?" a council technician demanded, his instruments struggling to analyze the attack. "They're bypassing shields like they don't exist." More pirates turned to face this unexpected threat, but the Phoenix was already moving. Its true engines glowed with contained power as it danced through space, making moves that should have been impossible. Every shot it fired hit with perfect accuracy, disabling ships without destroying them. "Quantum targeting systems online," James reported. "We're calculating their moves before they make them." The council watched in stunned silence as their supposed primitive guests systematically took apart a pirate fleet that had been winning moments before. The Phoenix's hull absorbed direct hits without showing a scratch, its true defensive systems now active. "Status report," Smith ordered as they disabled another pirate vessel. "Their fleet is in chaos," Wilson replied with a grin. "They've never seen our level of technology before. Half of them are trying to retreat, but our gravity locks are holding them in place." On the council station, the aliens who had laughed at human technology now watched with their mouths open. The Phoenix moved like a predator among prey, its every action showing mastery of space combat that made their own ships look primitive in comparison. "Those welding lines on their hull," one technician whispered. "They were fake. Everything about their ship was fake." The last pirate vessel surrendered after watching its companions disabled with ease. The Phoenix herded the captured ships into a neat formation, its weapons never wavering. "Council station," Smith broadcast, his voice now carrying clear authority. "The threat has been neutralized. Would you like us to escort these prisoners to your security facilities?" There was a long silence from the council chamber. Finally, High Counselor Blue responded, his voice shaking slightly. What are you?" The Phoenix hung in space, its true form now revealed in all its glory. The fake exterior was gone, replaced by armor that seemed to swallow light itself. Energy coursed visibly through its hull, speaking of power that the council had never dreamed possible. "We're human," Smith replied simply, "and we believe it's time for a real conversation about our place in the galaxy." The council chamber was silent now. No one laughed. No one smirked. The council members sat rigid in their seats as Engineer Wilson stood before them, explaining the truth about the Phoenix. "This," Wilson said, projecting a hologram of the ship's true specifications, "is what you were actually looking at. The crude exterior was a quantum camouflage system. It didn't just hide our technology. It showed you exactly what you expected to see." "But our scans," the detection officer protested weakly. "We saw basic fusion drives, primitive computers." Wilson smiled. "You saw what we wanted you to see. Every scan you sent was intercepted, analyzed, and sent back with false data. Your own assumptions about us did the rest." The hologram changed, showing the Phoenix's true engine core. Several council technicians gasped. The technology they were seeing shouldn't have been possible according to their understanding of physics. "Impossible," High Counselor Blue whispered. "Your species only achieved spaceflight recently. Our records show." "Your records show what other species told you," Ambassador Roberts interrupted politely. Did you ever consider they might be wrong? Or that we might have wanted them to be wrong? Captain Smith stepped forward. Humanity learned something important during our early development. When people think you're primitive, they let their guard down. They reveal their strengths and their weaknesses. The tactical display showed recordings from the recent battle. The Phoenix's movements were smooth, precise, almost artistic in their deadly efficiency. Each shot had struck with perfect accuracy, displaying a mastery of space combat that made the Council's best ships look clumsy in comparison. We've been watching the galaxy for decades, James explained, bringing up more data. Listening to transmissions, studying ship movements. We knew about the pirates long before we came here. Their attack wasn't a surprise. It was an opportunity. An opportunity. Councillor Green's plant-like appendages trembled. You used us as bait. We used their attack to demonstrate our true capabilities, Roberts corrected. If we had simply shown up with our real technology, would you have believed us? Or would you have seen us as a threat? The council members shifted uncomfortably. They all knew the answer. Any species appearing suddenly with advanced technology would have been met with suspicion and possibly hostility. But the way you moved during the battle, one technical advisor said, that level of coordination, those reaction speeds, they're beyond anything we've seen. Wilson nodded. Our quantum computers don't just run calculations. They predict probable futures. Every move we made was planned before the pirates even knew they needed to react. Their tactics were obvious to us because we'd already simulated this battle 1,000 times. And now, High Counselor Blue asked quietly. The fear in his voice was gone, replaced by something like resignation. Now that we know what you really are. Smith's expression softened slightly. Now we talk. Really talk. As equals. He gestured to the tactical display showing the captured pirate ships. We've demonstrated our capabilities, but what you just saw was us being gentle. Every shot was precision targeted to disable, not destroy. Every move was calculated to minimize harm. We're not here to conquer or dominate, Roberts added. We're here to join the galactic community. But we'll do it as ourselves, not as the primitive species you wanted us to be. The council chamber remained quiet as the implications sank in. Their newest contact wasn't a primitive species needing guidance. Humanity had been testing them all along, analyzing their reactions, their prejudices, their strengths and weaknesses. Perhaps, High Counselor Blue finally said, we should restart our diplomatic discussions, this time without the assumptions about your limitations. Smith smiled. We'd like that. And this time, we'll show you what humanity can really offer to the galaxy. A week after the pirate attack, the council chamber had a very different atmosphere. The elevated seats were gone, replaced by a circular table where humans and aliens sat as equals. The council members no longer wore their elaborate robes of authority, choosing simpler clothing that matched the human delegation's attire. Your technology integration proposals are impressive, High Counselor Blue admitted, studying the detailed plans before him. Your quantum computing systems alone would revolutionize our infrastructure. And your medical technology, added Counselor Green, her plant-like appendages moving with excitement rather than dismissal now. The regeneration capabilities you've demonstrated, they could help billions across the galaxy. Captain Smith sat quietly, watching Ambassador Roberts handle the negotiations. The Phoenix hung visible through the chamber's window, its true form now a constant reminder of how appearances could deceive. Several council technical teams were studying it, under careful supervision. There's something I don't understand, one of the junior council members said. If you have this level of technology, why approach us at all? You clearly don't need our help or approval. Because isolation leads to stagnation, Roberts explained. Humanity learned that lesson long ago. We don't want to just exist in the galaxy. We want to be part of it, to trade, to learn, to grow together. Engineer Wilson brought up a new holographic display. Besides, while our technology is advanced in some areas, You're ahead of us in others. Your biological sciences, for example, are fascinating. We have much to learn from each other." The council members nodded thoughtfully. The humans had shown wisdom along with their power, a combination that earned far more respect than mere technological superiority. However, Technical Officer James added, bringing up another display, "We should discuss the state of your defense systems. The pirate attack revealed serious vulnerabilities. We'd be happy to help you upgrade." "Yes," High Counselor Blue said quickly, then caught himself and tried to look more dignified. "That would be appreciated." As the technical discussion continued, a junior aide rushed into the chamber, holding a datapad. "High Counselor, we're detecting another human ship approaching the station." The aide's voice shook slightly. It's much larger than the Phoenix." The council members tensed, but Captain Smith just smiled. "Ah, right on schedule. Don't worry. That's just our actual diplomatic vessel arriving." "Actual diplomatic vessel?" several voices asked at once. "Of course," Smith replied calmly. "The Phoenix is just a scout ship. Did you think we'd send our flagship for first contact?" The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs as the new ship came into view. It dwarfed the Phoenix, its hull gleaming with technology far beyond even what the humans had revealed so far. The council members stared in stunned silence. "That," Wilson said with a slight grin, "is the humanity's hope. A proper diplomatic vessel, with full delegation quarters, medical facilities, and cultural exchange centers. The Phoenix was just to test the waters, so to speak." Test the waters. High Counselor Blue's crystalline form sparkled with nervous energy. "You mean this whole time? Everything we showed you was real," Roberts assured him. "But it wasn't everything we have. We believe in careful, measured first contact. The Phoenix helped us understand how you'd react to us. Now we can proceed with full diplomatic relations." The council chamber was quiet again, but this time with thoughtful silence rather than fear. The humans had taught them multiple lessons about assumptions, about arrogance, and about the importance of looking beyond appearances. "Welcome to the galaxy," High Counselor Blue finally said, standing to formally greet the humans. "This time, we mean it properly." Captain Smith smiled as he looked out at the massive ship approaching the station. The Phoenix had done its job perfectly, clearing the way for humanity's true arrival on the galactic stage. And they had done it not through force or fear, but through careful planning, strategic thinking, and the power of underestimation. The real work was just beginning.